One of the reasons you want to do this, and the thing that drove me is, okay, could there be a more important industry than this one? I mean, it's the root of everything. You know, it's like if we're going to have technology, you know, we're going to have, you know, improvement against, you know, climate change. You name it. You know, better leadership for the country. Everything is dependent on education. Everything that we need to do to advance our society. Absolutely everything. So you look at it and go, this is an incredibly important problem. So how come things don't change faster? One of the reasons, you just think about this industry, the whole of it, pre-K through 12 and post-secondary. Now, here, guys are in it. Now, and this is my view. I'm happy to argue. I will argue with you. Argue with you. It's a top-down industry. Every other industry, pretty much on the planet at this point, is driven by its consumers. Education's not. I mean, there are elements of it. I mean, sure, we've all had choices of where we went to college. We don't have all that much choice, actually, in pre-K through 12 for most people. You know, so you can go to school where you live. You know, you take the curriculum you've got. You do the textbooks that they decide to do. And you just think about it. You know, any other industry, think of grocery store. You know, somebody, the CEO of you know, Safeway decided, you know, what you're going to get when you walk in the grocery store. Like, okay, you know, that's the way it works in this industry. So one of the things that we're doing by empowering consumers is, all right, we give them the ability to make some decisions about, you know, what they're going to do. It's a finer level of detail than you get to make now. The decisions you make now, I mean, you decide what school you're going to go to, even pre-K through 12. I decided to live in Fairfield, Connecticut. You know, so I made this gigantic decision for both of my kids that cost a whole lot of money and was a 25-year now investment for me, so my kids could go to school in Fairfield, Connecticut. You know, so we make these giant decisions, very expensive decisions. What we need to be able to do is break it down into much smaller decisions that the consumers can make. Decided to go to MIT, fantastic school, much better than you know, but you're making a giant decision, you know, about it. A whole lot of money and, you know, and a big chunk of your time to do that. So what will change this is when, like other industries, you get to make smaller decisions more frequently for less amount of money. An individual decision. I'm not going to argue that you spend too much or spend too little in education. One of the things about it that's inspiring to me and continues to be is the educators. Now, I can look at this and get really frustrated with this industry at times, but you know, there are amazing people, and I'm sure you know this from your professors, the great school, the great teachers you had when you were in elementary school, and those kinds of things. Those are the people that, you know, I think keep it all moving. Okay, now how can we leverage that, you know, and move forward better? One of the things that's a struggle here is, okay, who are the buyers, the economic buyers of your stuff? And it's funny, Carl and I have talked about this quite a bit here. You've got users of your stuff and then buyers of your stuff. For us, the buyers are usually statewide contracts, the whole state of Texas. You know, we get one check from the whole state of Texas. But the users of our stuff are all teachers, you know, and students in Texas. So, right, they're completely different things. Here. How do I appeal to one and make this very useful and get paid by the other? So it's a challenge. And you look at, and it's funny, Carl and I talked about this a lot too, here. When you look at the buyers, now students do buy stuff. I mean, clearly you buy notebooks, you buy books, you do all kinds of things, you know, where you're actually the buyer. But in a lot of cases, I mean, for us, we're selling to these larger entities that are covering, you know, large numbers of students. Again, there's a disconnect. And, you know, of course, where are the bigger checks? What's the bigger buyers? You know, the whole state. Here, going and gathering up $1 from every one of, you know, a million students is hard. You know, getting a few cents from, you know, one entity for millions of students, like, okay, well, that's not easy, but, you know, but it makes more economic sense anyway. And there are a lot of outside forces. You know, is anybody familiar with the In Bloom debacle here and them going out of business? No one here? So, okay, we got one. The Gates Foundation decided to come into the industry and essentially do what eScholar does with our data warehouse. And they actually talked to us, you know, and decided they could do it better than us. With $100 million, you know, invested over the 3 years, and now they just finally shut it down. And we didn't, do it to them, really. I mean, they kind of did it to themselves here. But you've got these kinds of things. You've got foundations, politicians. There's been there's a big argument about the Common Core. You look at that argument. So much of it is a silly argument. I mean, people are saying it's a federal takeover of education. I completely don't believe that. I mean, I know pretty well it's not a federal takeover of education here. So you've got these kinds of outside and you say kind of non-marketplace forces in education that you have to contend with. It's like, why would anybody invest $100 million to try to replicate what we already do in the industry? Happens all the time in education.